before we're going to see a lot of them win again. But here we go, game number 2 starting up right now. Sanshorn Miss is the map, and here we are. Time to get into the game.
And on the right-hand side of the map, Sanshorn Miss, we have our red Terran player from Slayers, down 0-1 in this best of 5, trying to take things to a tie. It is MMA. And his opponent over at the 9 o'clock position, our blue Zerg player from MVP, up 1-0, it is DongRaeGu.
Yep, so MMA, choosing what can be a very aggressive map. It's a 2-player map. Sanshorn Miss is probably one of the smallest maps we have in our pool of maps for this tournament, and MMA may be wanting to do a little bit of damage here. In fact, one of the most popular strategies in Terran versus Zerg on Sanshorn Miss is to actually go for a very quick 2 barracks outside of your opponent's base and then try to deny that first expansion that Zergs take. Because if you can do that, if you can kill that first hatchery that Zergs take on this map, oftentimes you can just win the game from there. We've seen it happen time and time again in the team league, and we'll have to see what MMA decides to do. He's up to 11 SCVs right now. Will we see a 12th? Yes, we will. Okay.
He actually had it rallied over at his gas for half a second, which I thought was kind of interesting. But no, it's just going to be a pretty normal barracks built outside of his natural, though. So once again, going to kind of confuse his opponent. We'll see if he puts down a second here in a bit. DongRaeGu, on the other hand, hasn't really tipped his hand. I would be shocked if we didn't see a 15 hatch, though. He is scouting for any sort of proxies. This is known to be a very small, very aggressive map. So certainly taking all the precautions he needs to stay safe.
Yeah, DRG knows what to look for. He knows the map. He knows the possible strategies he might run into from his opponent. But MMA kind of using that a bit to his advantage as well. So DRG losing the mining time from that drone, but it's totally worth it. I mean, you need to get out there and see what your opponent is doing. You need to watch for that cheesy play that we do see every once in a while. And MMA, with that barracks outside of his main base, is just still kind of trying to fake out his opponent. But the Overlord scouting from DRG is going to see it right away. At the same time, that's going to be something that MMA can maybe use to get a pretty cheap, quick Overlord kill as well.
Yeah, that's very true, especially because his first Marine is just about to hit. That barracks just coming into view here in a second, so we'll see how DongRaeGu reacts to that. He himself, though, going for gas in a pool back at home, so wants to make sure he invests in that Zergling speed, and that's a marked difference from what we've seen out of him in the past, where he had favored those no-gas builds into higher Queen counts.
Yep, looks like MMA is not going to be able to quite take out that Overlord. Always such a pain to lose your first Overlord in Zerg versus, well, anything, really. I mean, you have to remake one. That's 100 minerals that you could have used on something else. It does legitimately slow you down a lot in these early stages of the game. So MMA with kind of a tricky move there, trying to kill it off, but DRG responding, doesn't let it happen to him.
Yeah, that's right. And his next hatchery is up, ready to go. 2 queens on the way, and we'll start to see that Zergling speed here in just a bit. Good choice to go for that rather than some sort of a 4-queen build on Sanshorn Miss. When we talk about this being an aggressive map, it's not usually aggressive with a bunch of Hellions at the beginning. It's aggressive with a very strong tank or mech or bio push, something like that. And MMA is finishing up his second base now and going over to double gas afterwards. So we'll see if he opts for those reactored Hellions or has something a little bit different up his sleeve.
Yeah, MMA does like to incorporate Hellions into his play every once in a while. Although on this map, I feel like we've got a pretty strong chance of seeing Cloaked Banshees, and that's going to be something quite good against what DongRaeGu is starting here, a very early Roach Warren. Looks like he may be considering just going all in here with a Roach Ling attack. Very common, actually, on this map from Zerg versus Terran. It hits very hard, very fast, and a lot of times, even if the Banshee is out for Terran, they just can't keep up with the damage. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. I'm curious to see if MMA goes for something like Reactored Hellions, which it looks like he is. He may have a very hard time holding this off.
And he is going to have a couple more barracks. Started a little bit earlier than something like, a lot of players at this point will put down, say, a Starport and go up to a couple of Banshees. And then even though you have something that Roaches and Zerglings can't hit, the DPS isn't high enough off of just one Banshee to hold back the economic damage you take from that early Zergling Roach push. That being said, 8 Roaches coming out now. Those barracks are going to have to finish up in a hurry.
Yeah, well, even once they do, I mean, Marines aren't the best unit in the world against Roaches as well, and DRG really kind of showing the strength of that Zerg race, being able to surprise your opponent with a lot of a certain type of unit at once. I mean, every other race beside, well, Terran, you kind of have to make your units over time. Even Protoss takes a little bit longer to get started as far as making a lot of a certain unit, but Zerg can just kind of surge ahead, and we'll have to see how much damage DRG can do with this. not really making a whole lot of Zerglings just yet behind this, so just kind of poking with an early Roach Rush.
Yeah, a lot of Roaches now making their way across the map. We're going to need to see Marauders started immediately for MMA. He does have a bunker up at the front, and I'm not sure exactly what he's seen. How many units does he have on the field? Just 3 Marines and a couple of Hellions. Those Hellions are going to run smack dab into the Roaches. He's going to have to pull some units. No, actually, he may have to give up this bunker. The bunker's going down pretty quickly.
Well, the SCV's coming to repair it. Will they be able to get there in time? And DRG focusing down those SCVs. So even if, MMA needs to pull back, needs to abandon the bunker, and DRG is going to chase him all the way up into his main base.
Yeah, he was delaying for just a little bit until he was able to get out a couple of units. The first couple of Marauders are coming up. He needs to be able to repair up these supply depots, but it's falling, and it is going to go down, so DongRaeGu is going to be able to break his way through.
Yeah, he's at the very least going to kill a lot of MMA's workers. Look at that, DRG already doubling the supply of Slayer's MMA, and that one Marauder is just not going to be enough. It goes down, and MMA may have had his plan backfire on him right now. DRG in his base doing doing irreversible damage. I mean, doesn't get very good from here on out for MMA, I've got a feeling.
No, not at all. How many workers have gone down? 25! And MMA is down to just 20 supply, and that is falling. So DongRaeGu looks like he's going to clean up this game and put himself just 1 game away from a rematch with Liquid Hero.
This Roach Rush so devastating versus Terran. GG! There it is in MVP.DongRaeGu, taking 2 games already.